This is episode 76. Double your income in 3 months through one small habit. In this episode, I'll share a few examples of how shifting one mindset habit created a surge in income with myself and others. Try it yourself and see if it works. Hi, I'm Carla Rieger, and this is the MindStory Speaker Podcast. So this can work if you have a job or a business or both and want to open your mind to new possibilities for income streams. Given the world we're living in right now, we all have to think in new ways around these kinds of things. And this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's about you changing your worldview to see possibilities that were always there that you just didn't see before. I will say that I do feel very strongly, especially lately, in the power of entrepreneurship and the ability to be part of a society where you are rewarded for cooperation and value creation, even if you're just doing a business on the side. By creating value for the world, people vote for your value by paying you money. It creates a kind of freedom and empowerment and democracy in a society that's important to the health, not only of individuals and families, but of whole nations. And there are many people I talk to who have the desire to build their own business who don't take advantage of the opportunity. And one of the things I want to offer for those of you who are entrepreneurs or not is that we take a moment and appreciate that you even have that opportunity in the world. Being an entrepreneur and the ability to create any business you want and get paid for it is not something that every person has. And it's not something that any of our ancestors could even contemplate. So the fact that we have this opportunity now and the power of entrepreneurs to make a difference, especially in an unstable world, I think is vastly important to realize and take advantage of. When you are a full or part-time entrepreneur, you create so many more opportunities for the people around you. For example, if you hire employees or contractors, if you buy from suppliers, if you provide extra for your family and can contribute to the needs of friends, colleagues, and causes in a way you couldn't before. Being able to put out value and serve the world and work hard at doing something you love and being rewarded for that is truly fulfilling in expected and unexpected ways. It's truly in line with what I think our hearts and minds are meant to do, which is innovate and evolve and create and fail and learn from that failure. It's like the mythic journey I've been talking about on other podcast episodes where you truly grow as a person in a way maybe you don't if you aren't challenging yourself in that way, seeking to find a way to give value to the world and receive value in exchange. The most important part of any entrepreneurial endeavor, an endeavor where you can make more income, where there's no ceiling to your income, where you call the shots, where you are not tied into a job contract that could end at any time, is your ability to connect with those who want to give you money for the value you offer, whether it's a product or a service that you're offering. There's a communication about the value that needs to happen. This is the part that mystifies and scares most people and keeps them from engaging in these relationships of value for value. There are some bad programs in society that keep us from getting into this empowering state of entrepreneur. One of which is that if someone says no to your offer, it somehow means something bad about you as a person. Even if you know that intellectually, somehow a no attacks the central nervous system and triggers the survival brain. Yet sometimes your offer is just not the right thing, or it's not the right timing, or you haven't explained it properly, or you're not talking to the right type of person. So in the end, it's simply a numbers game. Now, you've probably heard that before, but if you can take it away from the personal and just see, it's really about percentages, whereby the no's just feel neutral to you. And this is how the equation goes. The number of offers minus the number of no's that you get equals the number of yeses that you get. Now, on that equation, we want to increase all three of those components. That is how we increase business and income. We want to increase the number of offers, which will also increase the number of no's, which will also increase the number of yeses, if you're doing it properly. Now, the reason why this equation is so important when you're thinking about business is a lot of times people make many decisions about starting a business or building a business based on wanting to avoid the no's, when in fact successful people are actually thinking about how to increase the number of no's that they get. Because if you avoid getting no's, you make less offers, which ultimately decreases the number of yeses that you get. It's just a numbers game. And once you get your basic infrastructure in place and are good with the equation, then you just have to scale. And scaling looks like increasing the offers, which means increasing the no's, which also, of course, increases the yeses. All three of those increase incrementally until you've doubled your business. Now, if you're looking at your equation and you don't have any yeses yet, you just have to keep tweaking your offer. You need to make sure you're offering food to a hungry person who has money. So they need to be hungry for what you offer, and they need to have the means to pay for it. And when you get a business where you have the right offer to the right person, and then you just start increasing that equation, there's no limit to how big you can grow. There really is no limit. So in our business at MindStory Coaching Academy, we are helping people build a career as a coach and speaker through our MindStory Method certification program. They're hungry for a new career or to grow an existing coaching and speaking business. They're hungry for a new career or to grow an existing coaching and speaking business. They're hungry for training where they can help far more people doing what they love in a more effortless way. And they want to offer even deeper value to people so they can earn a great income, magnetizing people to them, living anywhere with the option of doing it online. So my person is someone who is hungry for a new career, a sideline business, or to increase an existing business, who wants to be a performance coach, who wants to use speaking to bring people into that coaching business and has money to pay us for that training, a training that they actually can't find anywhere else in the world. And the way we do that is by giving the right offer to the right person. We're not offering coach and speaker training to people that don't have money. We're not offering coach and speaker training to people who aren't interested in that. So when we find that right person, we give them the right offer. It's a joyful exchange of value for value. And we have perfected that offer, so all we have to do is go find the people. And once we find them, we know that our offer will work because our offer is so much more valuable than the money they're going to pay. So how will you know if you have the right offer? Well, you'll start getting yeses. As soon as you start getting yeses, you increase the equation. More offers, more no's, more yeses. You can't skip the no's. If you get discouraged by the no's, then just be kind to yourself. Process the emotion. Remember the game you're playing, the equation you're going for, and go after more offers. And you get immune to it. You just start feeling neutral about the no's. You want people to say no to you because that's going to increase the number of yeses that you get. So in summary, the main habit to change is to become neutral in your response to no's. All it means is you just have to check if you have the right offer for the right person, then increase the equation. Asking yourself, so why would someone say no to me? There's usually only a few reasons. It's either the wrong offer, the wrong person, or the wrong price. That's it. And you just have to figure out which it is. Are you making the wrong offer? Are you making it to the wrong person? Or is it the wrong price for that person? That's it. Figure those out and then go make more offers. Don't complicate it too much. So for example, if you came to me and said, I don't know, Carla, if I should sign up for how to install the MindStory method and get certified as one of your coaches and speakers. They're hesitating, but I haven't asked why, because maybe I'm starting to loop on how that must equal rejection, can't have rejection, and the survival brain takes over. And so we end the conversation. In other words, I have missed an opportunity to change someone's life right there and then. What if their reason was, I don't know if I'm good enough? What if I can't figure it out? What if I fail? What if I succeed and people don't like me anymore? And I can tell you that in about 80% of the cases, When I'm speaking to someone, that's what's stopping them. So it's my job to help them see beyond those limiting stories about themselves so they can see the truth, which is almost always that they are good enough, better than good enough to do anything they want, that failure doesn't mean anything bad about them, that they can handle the success, that they have all the tools that they need. And in fact, that's at the core of the MindStory method anyways, is to help people get over that, which is the reason 80% of people don't get into business, all that self-doubt. But if I'm in my own self-doubt about myself and my offer, I'm missing the opportunity to serve my client in that moment. So every no is an opportunity to coach people, to help them, to learn from them, and from them to learn from you. And that's why I find people who are trained coaches also tend to be the most high integrity, magnetic kinds of marketers, because they get underneath the typical surface reasons people say they don't want to invest in themselves. Then you can really see if it's the right fit or not. Instead, so many people give up on themselves and their potential client due to unnecessary fears. So whether they buy from you or not, it's not really important. How much are you learning from the conversation, from each no? So if you're not making offers and getting no's, you're not learning anything. You're just hiding in the corner because you're afraid. But once you recognize that no's move you forward, you start learning from those no's. You look forward to the no's. You start learning how to overcome your client's self-doubt about themselves. You start learning to use your coaching in the onboarding conversation with a potential client for the benefit of yourself and your client, whether they work with you or not, or buy from you or not. That takes a lot of drama out of the whole thing. Now, you may have heard this before, but discomfort and mistakes are the pathway to success. If you want to ensure you fail, keep trying to be comfortable and never make mistakes. I know I lived like that for years, making all kinds of big life decisions based on wanting to ensure I stay comfortable, never get rejected, never make mistakes. And the irony is that is what leads to failure. I'm sure you've heard that before, but really bring it home to yourself and really analyze decisions that you've made. Because we are highly trained as a society to make decisions based on being comfortable rather than on stretching our edges and growing as a person. So the fear of it actually creates what you don't want. But when you get rejected and you go, so what? When you make mistakes and go, okay, that's uncomfortable for a few moments, but what can I learn? That's when there's a sense of personal power, which inevitably magnetizes inner and outer success. By inner success, I mean you actually start to believe in yourself more. You have a higher opinion of yourself because you are not living by the programs of society. You're living by your own inner wisdom, which inevitably attracts external success. So if you aren't good at failing, if you aren't good at overcoming no's, if you aren't good at managing your mind, you're going to struggle with being successful and making money, especially if you want to make good money. You can struggle along in mediocrity and be run by those programs, but it won't feel very fulfilling. You'll feel stuck and trapped most of the time. The better you are at overcoming no's, the more money you're going to make, the more successful you're going to be, and the more you're going to help people. And this is by far the most important habit. Like if you just shifted this habit of mind and nothing else, you would find an exponential shift in your success. The wonderful news is that you can just stop taking it personally when someone tells you no by just making one strong, clear, emotionally committed decision. And it helps to find the core mind story and change that. Let me give you an example of a wake-up call for me around this. I was asked by a large multinational organization to do a series of training programs and coaching for their salespeople. I knew one of the people on the decision-making committee. She told me they balked at asking me to make a proposal because my business was so new, but she believed in me and talked them into it. I'd never been asked to do something quite that big before, and I had many sleepless nights. I was worried about not getting the contract, but also I was worried about getting it. What if I couldn't measure up? What if I couldn't figure out how to fulfill on what I said I could offer? I tied myself up in knots about it, and in retrospect, I see how I completely sabotaged the situation. I created a not well thought through proposal outlining what I would offer with a modest fee. I thought if I charged a low amount, that would help me get the job. They got back to me and said no. A few months later, I ran into my acquaintance on the decision-making committee. I worked up the courage to ask her why they didn't choose me. She said because I didn't charge enough. They interpreted that to mean I don't value what I offer. Everyone else who made a proposal charged a lot more. In fact, they went with the person that charged them the most. What a wake-up call. So I decided to look back on the core MindStory that would make me go into such a tizzy and undervalue my offerings in this situation. In my experience, if you can find the core story, it can unravel all kinds of subsequent stories. In other words, it changes the whole timeline. If you don't get to the core story, sometimes it only changes things at a more shallow level. So in my case, it was a childhood story, like it usually is. That's a time when our minds are very open and we make these huge decisions that affect the rest of our lives unless we know how to change them. So at 6 years old, I joined Brownies, which is a precursor to Girl Guides. The other girls on the block who were my friends were all in Girl Guides because they were older than me. They were all tasked with selling cookies to raise money, as Girl Guides do. And I wanted to do it too because I wanted to be included. The scout leader suggested it wasn't a good idea for me. I was too young. But I insisted, and one day when the scout leader was sick, the assistant scout leader decided to give me some cookies to sell just for the heck of it. I was eager because there were awards given out to the highest sellers. However, at the end of the month, they tallied up everyone's sales records. They put all the names in the list, and I was at the bottom with 0 sales. I was the only kid with no sales. My sales technique was, you wouldn't want any Girl Scout cookies, would you? Before they could answer yes or no, I ran away to the next house, hoping that no one would answer the door. So the scout leader was right. I was too young, too inexperienced. I couldn't do it. So I bought into the scout leader's opinion that I was too young and therefore couldn't succeed. So anytime after that I was younger than others, less experienced than others, newer to the game, I bought into the idea that I didn't have as much value to offer and so acted in kind. So the way I unraveled that story was twofold. And you can do this too. First, I just made a list of everything I learned from that situation. Maybe I didn't learn at the time, but I could learn now. How I let the scout leader's doubt about me affect my own confidence. How I didn't give it my best effort, how I didn't try to learn from the Girl Scouts who were doing well with sales, how I made myself bad and wrong for being at the bottom of the leaderboard. So I can reframe the whole situation now as an adult, talk to my 6-year-old self about how other people's opinions of me don't need to affect my confidence, that it's okay to make mistakes. That's how you learn. And it's okay to not be the winner in an environment like that. I'm still a good and worthwhile person, no matter where I end up on the leaderboard. So it's basically the inner adult talking to the inner child, just like being a good, wise parent. Writing it down can be useful, where you write inner child, and write some words, and then on the next line, inner parent, and write their response. That can help it stick, that conversation, and change that relationship from an unhealthy one to a healthy one. The other way is to just imagine and write out a different scenario having taken place. Like, I'm 6 years old, I get the cookies, I go house to house explaining the rich cocoa flavor of the chocolate Oreos and the smooth lemon flavor of the vanilla Oreos. I even offer some samples for them to try. I tell them about the cause that we are raising money for and how their cookie money will be well spent. I see them buying my cookies, thanking me profusely. As my bag of cookies gets lighter and lighter, my cash wallet gets thicker and thicker. I see myself at the meeting with sales tally where my name is near the top of the list. The scout leader apologizes for doubting my abilities as a salesperson at 6 years old. I forgive her. All is good. Why do that? Well, because the subconscious mind, where your long-term memory resides, doesn't actually know the difference between past, present, and future. It's all happening at the same time. Yes, a part of me knows that the second story is something I made up, but it's all about how it makes you feel. And memories are just stories you tell yourself over and over again anyway, so how you frame the story makes all the difference to moving forward into your future. So if I imagine myself living out that story, telling that story to myself, even if it didn't really happen, I actually feel more confident moving forward into the future in similar situations. Now, it's not to delude yourself, but you're playing a game with your mind, right? You're just kind of saying it could have played out like that. So it's like you're giving your inner child a simulated version of how it could have looked. So she sees herself doing that, and then it writes the neural pathways of doing that in the future. So I can be new to a situation and still do well. And if I don't do well, I could just treat it as a valuable learning experience instead of this horrible thing that made me feel bad about myself. Doesn't mean I will do well in those kinds of situations every time. Maybe, maybe not, but it certainly increases the likelihood. So here's another example of a client of mine. He came to me feeling defeated because every time he made an offer to speak or to coach, he got rejected. I asked him to get specific. Who did he contact? What did he say? What did they say? Well, it turns out over the past 6 months, he made 3 offers to speak and 4 offers to coach someone. And when we went through his notes about the conversation, he didn't outrightly get rejected by some of them. They were just hesitating. They wanted to look at other speakers, other coaches, and get back to him. But he never followed up because he didn't want to experience that nasty emotion known as rejection. When we explored the core mind story that was driving his behavior, it went back to a childhood experience, as it often does. He was in grade 5 and he submitted an essay to a national contest, and he didn't win. He came in 7th. 7 children got up at the awards ceremony and stood in the line, and he was at the end of the line. The first place winner was at the beginning of the line. His father made a joke when he got back to his seat about being at the end of the line. That experience made him feel embarrassed that he wasn't chosen first. So it was important that he as an adult look back on that experience with all his worldly wisdom. So we actually went online and looked up this contest that was still going on, and they listed the history of the contest, and we went back to the year that he submitted his essay and found out that year 4,324 school-age students submitted an essay. He was 7th out of 4,324 students in the entire country. He never thought of it that way before. He didn't win first place, so he must be a loser. We looked at what he learned from the situation, again now from the adult perspective, kind of talking between that inner parent and inner child, because in this case, his parent wasn't being as empowering as he could have been, so he can reparent himself now. So he could have looked at the glass as half full instead of half empty. Also that his father can have any opinion he wants, but that doesn't mean it should diminish his accomplishment. He was still a winner. He came in 7th. So then he wrote out a story in which he felt proud getting his 7th place award, regardless of what anyone else said or did. As soon as he reframed that mind story and kind of rewrote how it could have gone, it had a ripple effect after that in his life. Over the next 6 months, we checked in again. He'd made 73 offers to speak and 105 offers to coach people. And guess what happened? He got better at making offers. He got more no's and more yeses. In fact, he was so busy, he came to me to figure out how to scale his business. And so together we reorganized his business so he could scale up by creating systems and hiring people to help him. So see if you can locate any probably childhood story where you made a decision that no's were bad, and see if you can reframe and learn from the experience as an adult, and maybe even try rewriting the story, write it down on paper, whereby you're acting it out in a way that you would have liked to. It can have a powerful effect on your success moving forward. So if you'd like to learn how to install our whole MindStory method into your coaching business, we have a free tutorial video you can check out. Just see the link below for more details. We help coaches increase their income by 10K or more within 90 days by installing a 5-step system that supercharges all aspects of their business, from getting coaching results that stick to marketing your business in a way that just magnetizes ideal people to you rather than you chasing them, to reconstructing your sense of power and purpose, dialing up on your skills in a very powerful way, in a very quick way, and to creating a business model that lets you scale to live the life and lifestyle you need and love. So yeah, just see the MindStory method link in the show notes. So that's it for today. I hope it was useful. Do hit subscribe if you want to hear about other episodes coming up, which you can do on our website, mindstoryacademy.com/podcast, mindstoryacademy.com/podcast, no S, and you'll see all the ways to subscribe in the right-hand column. Or if you're listening on another channel like Apple Podcasts, you can just subscribe there. Until next time, I'm Carla. Thanks for listening.